This video is brought to you by my two books, Practical Music Theory for the Rock Guitarist and The Blues Guitar Bible. Want to learn about modes, harmony, scales, chord substitution and keys? Or maybe you're interested in supercharging your blues guitar rhythm and lead chops. Whatever you're interested in, I guarantee you will be hitting the fast lane to progress with either of these works. Both feature video demonstrations and tutorials, loads of tabs and jam tracks to play along with, and I promise you, everything is explained in crystal clear plain English. Check out the links in the description for more details. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. That little intro solo there was me just having a jam over one of the many jam tracks that are in my jam track vault, or Dropbox as it's otherwise known. And that's sort of the point of this new series of videos that I'm kicking off today, which is how to record jam tracks or any other kind of music that you might want to record on your PC. I've done standalone videos on this in the past, but they've always felt a little bit rushed and left questions unanswered because I've had to skim over things. So we're going to do this as a series of videos. Think of it a bit like one of those magazines that you buy where you can collect a different piece each week or month or whatever, and you end up building a model of a Spitfire or the Cutty Sark or something like that. That's what we're about here. It's going to be a series of videos. The aim for today's video is to go through the hardware and software that you're going to require and basically put that to use to create a drum track and a bass line. So, as I said, I've done standalone videos on this topic before, and one of those was about a year ago. And here's a clip from that where I'm talking about the hardware you're going to need. Let's begin by looking at the hardware you're going to need. Obviously, one of these will come in handy. Computer, laptop, PC, whatever. I'm assuming you've already got one of those. But you do need some manner of connecting your guitar to it, and that's where one of these is an essential piece of kit, an audio interface. This is the one I use, a Behringer UMC22 Euphoria. Not the most expensive one. In fact, it's one of the least expensive ones you can find. Others are available, but this one does everything I need, and it's never let me down, so why pay more? You're obviously also going to need some manner of hearing what you're playing, the music you're creating, and you can see the interface there has a headphone output on it, so you could use that, or what I use is a set of these studio monitors, the PreSonus Eris 3.5 monitors, which I find are absolutely fine. Great sound quality, and again, not the most expensive thing you can buy, but they're good enough for me, and I'm sure you'll be perfectly happy with these as well. So how do we hook all of that up? Well, this little diagram here shows you the connections. Your guitar goes into the interface via a guitar cable. Just plug into the input on the front there. The interface then USBs to your computer, and basically then what happens is your computer detects that as a audio device. It becomes effectively a sound card, and the speaker outputs on the interface go, well, funnily enough, to the speakers. So that is how you hook it all up. So you need a computer, you need an interface, and you need some speakers, basically. So The interface, can't remember if I mentioned it in that clip there, but the interface I use is the Behringer Euphoria UMC22. You're going to see a shot of it later on in the video. That doesn't come with its own drivers. It comes with it. You download an open source driver called ASIO for all, number 4 or all. ASIO stands for Audio Stream Input Output for all, number 4. All. Anyway, there you go. So you download that and install it, and then plug in the interface, and your PC detects it as an audio device, and you're basically good to go. The speakers, as you saw in that clip there, get connected to the interface. It becomes your sound card, essentially. Right, so let's go and take a look at what other software you're going to need. We're going to start with the DAW. I use Reaper. Reaper is free for 60 days, fully functional, no limitations, evaluation period 60 days, and then it's $60 for basically anything but a corporate license. Small business, personal use, $60, and then as long as you keep on using just that version of Reaper that you've downloaded, that's it. That's a one-time payment. If it's at some point when you get so many versions and you've updated, I think 3 or 4 times, don't quote me on this, but at some point, if you keep on updating it, you will have to purchase another license. But if you just want to stay with the version you've got because it works and you've got to know it, then one-time payment. The other thing we're going to need is it's going to be hard to put any kind of recording together really without drums. So this is what I've been using for years, the MT Power Drum Kit 2. It's a free download. Well, it's free, but it's got a nag screen that you have to kind of click out of in order to get it to work. That started getting on my nerves a little bit about 2 years ago, so I gave them £5, and that's it. Again, free forever. How to install that once you've got it? Basically, you'll get a zip file when you download it, and it'll have these two elements in it: MT Power Drum Kit VST3, MT Power Drum Kit Content .pdk, and you install those. Just basically put them into either of these folders. If you're on a 64-bit machine, that folder there. If you're on a 32-bit machine, that folder there. And then when you fire up Reaper, those are the folders where Reaper kind of has a sniff around and has a look for plugins that it can recognize. And if it's in either of those two folders, Reaper will know that you've got MT Power Drum Kit installed, and you can then go and set about making a drum track, which is exactly what we're going to look at doing now. Right, so once you've got your bits and pieces of software installed, I'm going to assume that you're using Reaper as the DAW, the DAW here, and because that's the one that I've linked to in the description, and it's the one that I know my way around the best. Let's just take a quick look at how you configure it. So we click up here I'll just do that again so you can see where it's in this top right hand corner here. We click up there, and that takes you into the audio settings. Audio system ASIO, there's the driver, the ASIO for all version 2. Just look at these menus here and just configure them like this. Take a screenshot of this if you need to, but you can see enable inputs and select those options, output range, select those options. This one here is interesting, ASIO configuration. Basically, the further you kind of take this slider over in this direction, the larger the buffer size, which means that you'll get less glitchy recording. It's less likely to kind of trip over itself, basically. The downside is that you get a lot of lag. You play a note, and then, a noticeable amount of time later, a fraction of a second or maybe more, you'll actually hear that note. So that's very off-putting. So we need to turn it back further this way. The further this way you take it, the less lag, the less latency you get. But, the more glitchy it can get. So it's finding the compromise. For me, that is there, 256, the buffer size. So that's what I tend to just leave it. You find your sweet spot and then it's set and forget, basically. So there we go. That's how we configure it. And next thing I'm going to do, next thing you would do is set the tempo. But I'm going to do this demo here at 120 beats per minute. So we're just going to leave that as is. So what I want to do first of all is, I guess, save this as a project. So I'm just going to go into my Reaper documents folder, and we're going to save this as recording project. I always seem to do that for some reason. Stay on the shift key too long and get an extra capital. So there we go. Recording project. There we go. We've saved that. Right, if you've installed the MT Power Drum Kit into the relevant folder, let's just take a little bit of a look at that as well, where to save that to. Again, go into here, and we just want to scroll down here where it says plugins. There we go. VST. There we go. And the folder where you've stored or downloaded the your virtual instruments, including the MT Power Drum Kit 2, will be in this field here. So, you know, just navigate to that folder on your PC and copy the path into this box here. And then when you launch Reaper, it will detect the MT Power Drum Kit as being one of the instruments that you've got installed. So now what I'm going to do is right click in this pane here, and I can go insert virtual instrument on new track. Then I get a bunch of virtual instruments that I've got installed. So I'm looking for MT Power Drum Kit. There it is. So we're just going to add that. And it takes a little moment, and it asks you if you want all the different elements of the kit on separate tracks. I always just say no for that, so we'll kind of hit no. And this is the MT Power Drum Kit. I always find that I like to use kind of not the compression that's included in this instrument. I always prefer to use a different compressor, so I turn the compression off. I always find the snare drum is way too loud, as well as is the side stick. So I'm going to take those faders down there. You see, all I did was just went into the mixer there. You can have the drum kit view, you can have the mixer view, and now we're going to go into the grooves view like this. First thing we want is an intro. We're going to do, you got a bunch of grooves here, 4/4 grooves between 60 and 150 beats per minute. And then for the up-tempo, really up-tempo stuff, you've got some grooves there that work between 160 and 250. You've got a bunch of different shuffle grooves as well, and some 6/8 grooves as well. So, you know, plenty to choose from. The velocity here is an interesting one. Soft, normal, or heavy. To me, the drums just sound a little bit more realistic on the soft setting. So that's what we want to use. Let's just grab one of the intro things here. This is just your counting, basically. And we can just take that there and just drag and drop it into the track where the drums are. If we double click in this area here, that takes us into the MIDI editor like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these hi-hats here. Each one of these keys on this keyboard here represents a different element of the drum kit. And this here, this F#2, is a hi-hat. And I just like something a little bit more noticeable and easy to hear as a counting. So I'm just going to take these down to being a side stick like that. Okay. Unfortunately, I can't play you any of these drum grooves because it upsets the copyright wombles when I do, even though this is software that I legitimately own, and the grooves within this software are mine to use as I please. Every time I played any of these in their naked form, on YouTube, it always gets, kind of copyright claimed by somebody or other. So I'm not going to do that. You'll hear the drums clear enough when I start putting the bass on. So we're going to go with, this is one of my favourite grooves here on the 8th closed hi-hat, category. We're going to go for, groove number 5. And we'll just do 3 bars of this, and then put a 1 bar fill on the end, and then we'll do another 3 bars of it and put a different fill on the end, and there's my first 8 bars of drums. So we use groove number 5 there. We need to remember that for later. Place the cursor over here on the main track, and then clear that drum part there that I've done. Let's do groove number 5 again, but with different fills on the end. So I use fills 1 and 2. Now I'm going to use fill 3 and fill 4 on the end of this. So there's the second 8 bars of drums done. Okay, and we've done all of this on an 8th note closed hi-hat so far. So what we're going to do now is clear that, and we're going to go to a bell cymbal. We'll still stay with groove number 5, and so we use fills 1 and 2, fills 3 and 4. Let's use fill 5 there, another 3 bars of the groove. We're doing this on the bell cymbal at the moment, and then fill number 6. Drag and drop that into here, and then let's go back to a hi-hat again, but this time we're going to use the open hi-hat, groove number 5 once again, and we'll put fill number 7 on the end of that. Drummers tend to think in 3 bars of groove plus a 1 bar fill, which is how this is just defaults to. So there's another 3 bars of the groove, and there's another 1 bar fill, and as I say, we're doing this on an open hi-hat at the moment. There we go. So we've got closed hi-hat, another 8 bars of closed hi-hat, then the bell cymbal, and then onto an open hi-hat there, and that gives us just a nice little minute or so of jam track, which is going to be long enough for the purposes we've got here. We need an ending though, so we just go to insert new MIDI item, and it places a new MIDI item there. Once again, to get into the sort of editor of this, we just double click on that MIDI item, and I know that C2 is a kick drum. I know that C#3 is one of the crash cymbals, and I know that A3 is one of the other crash cymbals. So you can see C2, C#3, and A3, that's your ending, just kind of a kick drum and pair of crash cymbals. And that's basically the drum part created. So as I said, I can't kind of play you that drum track on its own because it tends to upset the copyright wombles. I got into trouble once before that. Even as I say, it's software that I legitimately own and can do what I want with. It causes some issues. So what we're going to hear very shortly is me playing a bass line over that chord sequence. So in order to kind of get a bass line recorded, we need to kind of go back to Reaper and look at how we set up a track for doing that. Right, so here's our drum part that we created earlier, and next thing to do is to put a bass line onto this, and we need a track to record that onto. 2 ways you can add a track, well 3 actually. You can either right click here and go insert new track, or you can use the keyboard shortcut of Control T, or you can just double click anywhere in here and it will add a new track for you. We're going to be recording the bass onto this track, so I'm just going to double click into this little pane here and label this track as bass. There we go. So next thing I need to do now is to go and grab my bass and record the bass part. But if you just press the big red record button up here, or use the keyboard shortcut of Control R, then nothing would happen, because first thing we need to do is we need to arm the track to record. So I'm just going to do that here. You can see record, arm or disarm, just click on that, and now when I press the big red recording button, or if I hit Control R on the keyboard, I will get a recording of whatever's plugged into the interface happening on that track. So let's go and grab the bass and record something. Okay, just interjecting here before we actually record the bass part, I almost forgot, we need to get the levels set right, and that lead that you can see going into that little box of tricks there, that, as you know, is my interface, and the other end of that lead is plugged into my bass, and we need to adjust this knob here to the optimum level. And basically, how do we find the optimum level? Well, you'll see there's two little lights just to the left of that knob. The bottom one is signal and the top one is clip. We want the signal light lighting up, but we don't want the clip light lighting up. So you can see the signal lights just flickering there. That's pretty, you know, a low volume. So experience teaches me that I need to turn that knob to about there, to about, I don't know, 2 o'clock on the dial, and you can see that's lighting up nicely there. If I take it too far, then you'll notice that the red light, the clipping light, starts flashing. I don't know how well that's coming across, but the red light, yeah, you saw it pulse then. That's going to lead to a clipped signal, so we come back it off to about there, and there I'm getting the nice green light on, a nice healthy green light, which tells me that the level is set to pretty much an optimum value. So we've got the track set up for recording some bass. We've checked the level to make sure that the bass isn't going to be clipping or it's not going to be too quiet. I think it's about time I recorded a bass line, isn't it? Here I am doing exactly that. And there you have it. We've got the software installed, we've got the hardware, the software's installed, we've created a drum track, and we put a bass line over the top of it. That's where I'm going to draw it to a close for this week. Next week we're going to look at recording some acoustic guitar, because I always do like an acoustic guitar track on a recording. It just adds depth and texture. During that we're probably going to be looking at compression and EQ and some wonderful things like that. And we might get round to putting an electric guitar part on it. We'll see how we get on, but that is the video for today, folks. I will just mention that there is a full tab for that solo that we kicked the video off with in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with the clip of me playing it and the backing track I was using. Each week in these videos there'll be another solo at the beginning, just to sort of tie it in, and mainly to kind of keep up the tradition of there being a solo on a tab on a Wednesday for my wonderful Patreon supporters, speaking of which, that's where you'll find all of those goodies, the tabs and the jam track and the clip of me playing it and everything. It's all up on my Patreon page. There's the address, link in the description, as I'm sure you know by now. $3 or about £3 a month, depending on the exchange rate, of course, and that gets you access to all of these goodies and bits and pieces that go along with these YouTube videos. videos. And of course, a massive, massive thank you to everyone who supports me in that, or any of the other ways, all of which are, you know where, down in the description. But that's it for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed the video, found it useful and informative, and maybe even entertaining, who knows. And if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 PM UK time. Beer and chat on a Friday, that's all it is. It's not complicated, but it is a great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.